How do you get help for your kid if he's struggling in school or with learning?
Welcome to Tips with public school educator Dr. Bill Ziegler.
One of the saddest things as a parent is to watch your kids struggle in school, struggle doing their homework, struggle taking tests, just struggling learning and going to school every day. Many times, this can be the signs of a learning disability. Don't be shy because I don't want my kid to be seen as different or having a deficiency. Get your kids the help that they need. All you need to do is put it in writing that you would like your child to be tested for special education services. And the school will help to provide you with services to support your child in the classroom. Maybe it's assistance through the use of technology. Maybe it's adaptive instruction. Many of these things can help your child find success in the classroom. Get your child the help they need today.
Great educational resources are available at 4tips.org. That's the number 4, TIPPS.org.
What's up, Marion County and beyond? It's Ty Tribbett. Listen, catch me on my new show. Come up with Ty Tribbett. That's right.
Taylor, what happened to
Ty Tribbett every Saturday from 4 to
the
7
Raw
p.m.
boy, Maxi's son?
We're gonna have some good
ain't never heard him.
We all gonna come up. Don't miss it every Saturday right here on 98.3 FM and 1280 AM WJAY.
Our time stands as 9:30 at 8:30. We take you live from the studios of WJY to Brother Michael Jenkins with the Sports Talk. Good morning to you, Michael Jenkins.
And good morning to you, Taylor, and good morning to everyone out there on this Labor Day weekend. Now, let's talk about Labor Day weekend real quick. You know, number one, you got to be safe out there. You know, number one, that the cops are out there looking to pull you. It's on you. You know they're out there. You know what you have to do to stay away from them in that way. But have a safe weekend anyway. Be safe out there on the roads. Football is going on here now, Marion County. I saw parts of my third game of the year. I didn't see the whole game, but then I didn't see the whole games last weekend with Lakeview and Marion. I left because obviously the score had gotten out of hand, and I figured, I might as well make my way home, that it was over, and it was. The same thing last week with Mullins versus Hemingway. Mullins ran through those boys and prepared themselves for a showdown last night with Lakeview Wild Gators. And Marion prepared themselves to get off to Schneid with a win, hopefully a win over Latta. I didn't have a lot of hope that Marion would get this win last night. I really didn't. But it started out crazy, and Marion relished the craziness that was going on out there. Latta was just throwing the ball all over the place, bouncing it off the ground, fumbling it. I mean, the first play of the game, a fumble. I mean, right into the hands of a Marion player. There were multiple plays last night where the ball was fumbled into the hands of the other team. So, the final score was 8-7. As it turns out, Marion beat Latta last night. Now, I was told by Miss Ash Marie that they kind of ran the clock in the second half, because what happened was there was a storm looking like it was coming in from the north. And I had been watching the lightning the whole time. So they got to halftime, and they decided that they would not continue the game right then. They would wait for a few minutes, pause it, and then start back. Well, my night at the game was not really fun because, man, I don't know. These referees are blowing whistles on every play, it seems like. There's so much standing around going on out there, people talking. I'm like, did I come to a game to watch people talk? Mm-hmm. Or did I come to watch a play? Mm-hmm. The refs are talking, holding conventions out there. The coach is holding conventions with the refs. There's a call on every play almost. It was annoying. So therefore, it was my out. When they said, "Okay, we're gonna slow the game up for a little bit. We're gonna, put the kids on the sideline, and we're gonna come back." I was out. I was home. So after I got home, I started thinking to myself, well, the rain didn't come. The thunderstorms never came. So after about 30 minutes, I said, maybe I'll go back out to the game. But I'm glad I didn't, because as it turns out, it was supposed to be a running clock, and so it really wasn't what it would have been if in a normal situation. But the Swamp Foxes did come out with a victory, a much needed victory, because they go into a part of their schedule right now that's going to be really tough to deal with. But some kid named Brennan Wilson had an interception as Latta was driving. I don't think they scored on that one. But these are some names that were significant in my eyes last night for the little time that I was there. Some kid named Ramir Pearson, Jaquan Ritter, Jawan Bowie, who I know. He's a basketball guy. I know all basketball guys. I know him immediately. I can pick him out of it. No. But Jawan Bowie, who is like playing on the defense. All these guys played well last night for Marion. And by the way, Marion's defense looks pretty good. I got to get that out of the way. I can't say I was surprised how well their defense played, how stiff they were against the Latta attack, but they were. So right now, obviously Marion's defense is ahead of their offense. Their quarterback who started the game last week against Lakeview did not play last night. So they had a series of guys that came in there at the quarterback position last night and did okay, but like I said, they weren't putting points on the board. It wasn't until Kamari Watson took a punt return, took it all the way back to the house. Turns out that will be Marion's only touchdown of the game and only the second touchdown of the game between the two teams. Marion got the extra point, and they took an 8-7 lead that turned out to be the final victory for them, the final score. I told myself here that I'm going to read Marion's roster to you guys real quick before we move on to giving you scores and polls and whatnot. But this was a big win for the Swamp Foxes last night, for sure. And hopefully they can parlay this into a successful season. We'll have to wait and see. There's so much yet to be done. Okay, so they played Lakeview. Do you realize, 2 of the 10 games of the season is already gone, folks? Football don't last long. But after the Lakeview loss last night, they beat Latta. Now, this is where it gets really interesting going forward. Because next, on the 6th, 9-6, Marion will travel to West Florence High School. And I think West Florence just beat Myrtle Beach last night. That's going to be a tough game. And then they travel to the land of the Nasty Cats on the 13th. Take on the Dillon Wildcats. After that, they're on the road again. This time at King Street. And that's on the 20th. Before they take on their rivals, the Mullins Auctioneers, on the 27th of September. So that stretch right there in itself is going to be tough. That's why this win over Latta last night was very important. Daryl Page, I saw you lost a close one out there last night, bro. I was following your score the whole way. I said, wow, Daryl will get a second one. Better luck next week, my brother. On the 4th, Marion will host Atlantic Collegiate Academy. That will be, see, that's that. Yeah, that's at Marion on 10-4. Then they have, looks like a week off before they travel to Lake City. The following week, they will tangle with the Manning Monarchs on the 25th. And they finish the season off with East Clarendon. Now, I'll tell you, I was looking at Marion's schedule and trying to think how many wins could they get out of this. And at first, East Clarendon was one of the teams that I thought could be beatable. But I've been seeing their scores, and them guys are looking good out there, so I don't know. But anyway, it's going to be a tough schedule. You're welcome, Daryl. But let me take a look at Mullins real quick here. Because Mullins' game last night, I'm told, was suspended, and they're going to finish it, I think she said on Monday. So Mullins was not able to resume. Marion did, but with basically shortened time with the clock running. But Mullins beat Hemingway. The Lakeview game is still undecided. Green Sea, they're going to be at Green Sea. Now, Green Sea is not very good last year from what I've seen from last week. So they got a shot there. My hopes and dreams for Latta being really good or better than I seen last night have kind of diminished a little bit. Of course, that could change. But Green Sea and Latta theoretically are winnable games for Mullins. And if they can come away with these two wins right here to add to the one they already have, and maybe even the Lakeview one could end in a win for them, Mullins could be looking at 4-0, or at least 3-1. After Latta, on the 13th, the Hawks will take on Atlantic Collegiate. That will be in Mullins. And, of course, the Marion game. And then they follow pretty much the same script as Marion the rest of the way, playing the same people. Lake City, Manning, East Clarendon. So that's the way the Marion deal shakes down. Let me see. I want to read the roster I said. You know, I'm always knowing when I'm not going to have a great day when when all my internet stuff starts not working early. And that's the case today. Slow. We depend a lot on internet, don't we? Maybe a little bit too much. And I can't seem to pull that right now, so I may have to go straight to the scores. Yeah, let me do that. Okay. So scores from last night. We're looking at, there was a tie last night. I mean, a tie? I thought they played the games until they were over. But 27-7 last night, Hartsville got tied by Carolina Forest. That's not good for the Hartsville Red Foxes, who are a team that's always looking to be better. And I'm sure this is like, I'm not going to say what people say when you have a tie game, because nowadays it's not politically correct. Dillon Wildcats, 27-7 over Socastee as they took their act on the road. West Florence came back to beat Myrtle Beach 33-22. Darlington Falcons, wow, who are these guys? Darlington last night, 27-21 over North Myrtle Beach. Big win for the Falcons. Of course, the Marion game last night, 8-7 final. Wow. Now, I want you folks to think about this for a minute. Think of what it must be like for a Conway Tigers fan. Hardcore, dyed-in-the-wool Conway Tigers fan. Getting beat 39-0 by Loris. Does any Conway person want to have this conversation? I don't think you do. 39-0 over your little sisters from down the street? Come on, Conway. This ain't good. And this is your score, Daryl. Gilbert, 28-18 over the Wilson Tigers. Coach, what are some of the good things that you saw last night in this loss? Aner, all over St. James, 51-34. Now, Sumter was trailing most of this game, but they came back in the end to take a 43-40 win over White Knoll. I think White Knoll is where my buddy Willie Thomas is at now. He's coaching basketball there. And by the way, he's been sick. He had some illnesses, and he told me it was a mess. And his wife, being his wife, had to pull him through. But I'm glad he's better now. Camden Bulldogs over rival Lugoff, 31-13. So they flipped the score there. Somerville went all the way South Florence went all the way to Somerville to take a 45-20 drubbing at the hands of the Somerville Green Wave. And Hemingway, they continued their road show, their really bad road show, as they went down to Orangeburg Wilkinson last night and were not very welcome down there. They got beat 56-0. Hemingway. That right there, Hemingway, is a really sad story. And I think it gets worse as time goes on. Hemingway, as a high school, was in big trouble. They were supposed to be consolidating with King Street, and C.E. Murray. That didn't happen. At least it hasn't happened yet. So Hemingway is out there like twisting in the sport to win right now. And the basketball has been, greatly diminished as well. I don't know what's going on, but I wish they'd do something pretty quick. The kids down there deserve better. Lake City Panthers over Timberland 28-26. This game was played in St. Stephen. And I don't know if you understand Lake City, where Lake City is in proximity to St. Stephen, but it ain't that far. It's basically right down the road. And Lake City went down there and got a big win. As far as Timberland goes, I have never traveled this far back in the woods to see a sporting event as I did when Naeem and I went down to watch Timberland and Mullins play in a basketball tournament some years ago. Man, this thing's way back. It's probably 10 miles back in the woods. Where the deer and the antelope play. Carver's Bay over King Street, so maybe King Street ain't all that this year, or Carver's Bay is better than people might have projected. They beat King Street last night 20-0. Lamar over Green Sea, 58-14, and that's what I mentioned about Green Sea. They are not good this year, or not that good, and if Mullins plays, then Mullins should get a win out of this, or at least have a very good chance to do so. Richard Northeast came to Crestwood and Sumter and beat them 36-32. Johnsonville, Atlantic Collegiate got a win. They got blown out last week, but they nipped Johnsonville 7-6. And as I said earlier about East Clarendon, and this game was on a Thursday night, East Clarendon knocked off Ridgeland 32-14. Oh, now my notes tell me that I have, let me see, I'm going to do the state rankings right now. And this is going to be the poll that I'm going to be depending on. I mean, it's a media poll done by a group of sports writers and broadcasters. It's not like me making up my own poll, an opinion of one. There's a number of guys here from some of the best newspapers in the state, including Lou Bajak, some cats out of Spartanburg. I think, remember this guy called Pete Yanity? He used to be on TV here. I think he's on the poll as well. But looking at, let me see, 5A rankings. Well, I noticed something this week that I really wasn't aware of. I guess I should have been, but there are hardly no teams from South Carolina and North Carolina ranked in the top 100 in the country. Dutch Fork is in there. I think they're at like 70-something. Then there's another team for North Carolina that's in there. But other than that, no South Carolina, North Carolina thing going on there. Dutch Fork is the number 1 ranked team in 5A, and thus probably the number 1 ranked team in the state, arguably. They had 16 first place votes, and looks like they only had 19. So they got 16 of the 19 first place votes. Northwestern follows number 2, Gaffney. Somerville is 4. Irmo is 5. J.L. Mann is 6. Followed by White Knoll, who got beat last night. T.L. Hanna. Sumter. Spartanburg is number 10. 4A, you got Westside. They're ranked number 1. They got all the first place votes. South Florence was 2nd, but they're going to drop because they got beat last night. And then you have Daniel at number 3. Gray Collegiate is the number 4 team. Hartsville, number 5, and they're going to drop because they got beat last night. South Point is ranked number 6, followed by Camden, AC Flora, Brooklyn Casey, and number 10 is North Augusta. 3A, Belton Honea Path, got 18 of the 19 first place votes. Followed by Dillon at number 2. Pendleton is the number 3 ranked team. Oceanside, who was, I believe, the number 1 ranked team in 3A, preseason. They've dropped to 4. Marlboro County is 5. Mountain View Prep, this is somewhere up there on the other side of Spartanburg, I believe. They are number 6. Woodruff is 7. Loris Lyons, 8. Chapman is 9. Christ Church is a 10th ranked 318 in the state of South Carolina. Class 2A, Hampton County is ranked number 1. They got 11 of the 19 first place votes. Strom Thurmond is 2nd. Chester is 3rd. Clinton is 4. Barnwell is ranked 5th, followed by Philip Simmons at 6, Saluda at 7, and then Andrew Jackson, Fairfield Central, and Sherrall round out the top 10 at 8, 9, and 10. Class A, and I was asking some people about Abbeville last week, and they're back to single A now, and that's going to be a problem for everybody because Abbeville's got a great program, and they are thus the number 1 ranked team in Class A, garnering all 19 first place votes. They are followed by Bamberg Earhart at number 2. Louisville is number 3. Lakeview Wild Gators are number 4. And then there's Cross, Hunter Kennard Tyler, Latta, and Latta's going to drop now because obviously they got beat last night. So Latta is no longer probably going to be in the top 10, or they're going to be lower than 7 for sure. They are followed by Lamar, Blackville Hilda, Johnsonville is the 10th ranked team, but they got beat last night. So there's going to be some shakeups next week. I seen a guy last night that, his name is Cario Charles, former basketball player for Marion High School. It's kind of weird because when I seen him, he came up to me and he said, "Hey, Mr. Jenkins, how you doing?" I couldn't quite place him. So I said, "I know this kid from somewhere, but man." Oh, Cam Hemingway said, yeah, they are. Talking about Abbeville. It's ridiculous. So he went on to his seat with turned out his wife. And I kept looking down there saying, I know this kid from somewhere. And then it hit me. And I went down to him. I said, Cario Charles. And he said, yeah. And we chatted for a minute. Cario was a power forward for Marion back in the day. And I asked him, I said, because he wasn't the tallest guy on the front line. Cario was about maybe 6'4"-ish. And he was playing on the front line with Quincy Goss, Terrell McKelvey, 2 guys 6'7", 6'6". I thought Quincy was more of a 3 than he was a power forward. But Cario was definitely a power forward. Very strong, tremendous leaping ability. He was a great football player too. But it harkens me back to the day of those Marion basketball teams with Terrell and those guys. It was unbelievable era. College football. Clemson is between the hedges today. And they play the University of Georgia. That's going to be tough. Old Dominion visits South Carolina today. Of course, TJ Sanders. At 7:45, Southern Miss will play at the University of Kentucky. Squirt will make his debut today. I look forward to it. And then East Tennessee State will play at App State. Tyshawn Sanders. Got a bunch of kids out there playing. And it should be a very exciting weekend of college football because of it. South Carolina State will play at FAMU. That's Florida A&M University. That will be played. I don't have a time there. But Benedict plays on Sunday, according to this. They play against Virginia State Sunday at 4 o'clock at the something called the Black College Hall of Fame Classic. And this will be played in Canton, Ohio. So, a lot of great stuff happening out there. A lot of stuff for us to see. Of course, the NFL gets started, I think next week. So all the football is being ramped up. I'm just wondering how this season is going to go, as I'm sure you are. The Cowboys had some good news this week. They signed their outstanding receiver, CeeDee Lamb, I believe. And they brought in some other guys that could kind of fill some holes for them, including Ezekiel Elliott and another running back I heard they had gotten. So, but looking around the league, I look at the Jets, who used to be my team, and the fact that they went and got a guy 40 years old to be their starting quarterback, it's not going to be good. This is not going to end well. Jets fans should have already seen this before. You've seen it with Brett Favre. Same situation. Guy wanting to get away from somebody, want to come help the Jets out. How'd that turn out? Brett Favre. Not good, did it? But the Jets have been a mess from the words go when it comes to drafting people, especially quarterbacks. I mean, they've been a disaster with quarterbacks. They keep drafting one bum after another. That's why they remain where they are. The Giants as well, nothing to write home about. So I'm focusing on the teams that I like instead of the teams that I used to like. For instance, Philadelphia Eagles. I like the Eagles. I root for them. Baltimore Ravens. I root for the Ravens instead of my used-to-be team. And there are some other spots around the league that have situations that I'm going to be rooting for. I love the way the African-American quarterbacks are coming into their own in the league. They've held these guys back for years and years and years. But now, finally, it looks like the floodgates open. People are giving these kids a chance now. They realize that the game is evolving. The game has been evolving for a long time, but they didn't want it to evolve. They didn't want the main guy on the field to be an African American. And that would be the quarterback position. See, I speak from experience because my whole life I've been watching football. As a child, I asked myself the question, why there ain't no brothers back there playing quarterback? And, I got a little bit older and still there was none. Until finally, one or two started coming here and there. But now I think this is the greatest opportunity for these guys to really show that they are the purveyors of change in this game. Football can be more exciting. And to me, athletic quarterbacks make that happen. If a guy can do something more than just sit back there and throw the ball to somebody, if he can make plays on his own without that being his only weapon, I'm all for it. So, Lamar Jackson is my favorite player in football. He is my Steph Curry. And then there's Jalen Hurts, another guy I've been following and rooting for his whole career. People said he couldn't do it. Same thing with Lamar Jackson. These guys were all doubted. They were all asked to play other positions. To me, that's the biggest insult of all. So, now they have their chance. I think going to be a very exciting football season for me and for these kids, because I think that the Ravens or the Eagles, let's just say this, Eagles, Ravens, Super Bowl Sunday. Okay? Anyway, where am I? That's all the time I got left, folks. Have a wonderful, safe week. Thanks for joining me today. I'll be back next week with more. Later.